assets fighting against each other. You know, we got one side, we got a precious metal. It's shiny, it's yellow. On the other side, we got a swarm of cyber hornets ready to sting you. Of course, I'm talking about Bitcoin, our favorite orange coin, but now there's a merging of crypto and gold. And we're going to ask the question, what is better? Is Bitcoin better than gold, or is gold better than Bitcoin? I think you know how I land on this one, folks. And so I appreciate you all jumping in. Make sure you go ahead and hit that like button. But first, we got a little bit of news from Tether. Tether just released a new asset called Alloy. Alloy by Tether. This is a brand new, just in. This is from 3 hours ago on Cointelegraph. They just introduced Alloy by Tether, a new digital asset backed by Tether Gold. So, you know, they're not that many followers. They don't even have 1,000 followers right now. If I hit refresh, maybe 2. Okay, we got another 20 people have now followed them, including a couple people that we follow here. But this is their new asset, everybody. And we're going to talk about Bitcoin versus gold. And I got some secret info about China, or what is China doing in the background concerning Bitcoin and gold, and how can that affect the prices? I'm going to tell you right now, it's going to affect it in a major way. And not only that, we have war. What will war do for gold or Bitcoin? Heyo, how are we all doing? So tethered asset backed by Tether Gold. This is the new Alloy coin. It's an innovative asset designed to track reference price through stabilization strategies, blah, blah, blah. But what the heck is it? It's intended to track gold's price using Tether Gold as collateral to provide stability in value. So they want people trading gold, and they want to make a little bit of money off of this. The historic strength. This part I did want to share because this was kind of cool. Why? Because in America, we don't have anything like this. Golden era, the historic strength of gold-backed currencies. It's hard to get it to scroll correctly because it will want to jump you all the way down to the bottom there. But steady economic growth, stable currency value. Yes. Why? Currencies are pegged to gold. Controlled money supply. Hey, you know, we got to have a conservative ratio to gold. Hey, we can't just teleport all the gold out of the Earth's crust. You know, where we kind of peg to how much gold we can get out, and then a facilitated trade just makes international trade easier. You have weird rectangle pieces of paper. Well, what are your rectangle pieces of paper? Well, my rectangles are different. Well, that means we can't trade these coffee beans. So gold just makes everything easier here. Now, but how much gold? So I went on a deep dive, folks. How much gold is there? Have we touched a fraction of it? Have we touched most of it? What is the percentage that we're looking at here, everybody? Well, the best estimates say we pulled out about 200,000 tons, not pounds. So multiply that by another 2,000. What do you get? 400 million. Woo! So 400 million pounds of gold. So 200,000 tons have been mined throughout history. And so about 2/3 since the 50s, which is nuts. But that makes sense. You think about gasoline-powered machinery compared to, you know, shovels and hoes before that. And since gold is virtually indestructible, that means almost all the metal still floating around in one way or the other. And so what is left? And so that's what we pulled out. We pulled out 200,000 pounds or tons. Is that most of it? Is that half of it? Is that a fraction of it? Well, how much is still undiscovered? Less than that, folks. Only 50,000 tons are left. So, you know, they're saying around 190. So let's just say around 200, and there's still remaining 50. So that means we've mined about 80% of the gold. So I've seen some estimates say 77, some say 81. Roughly, though, 80% of the gold has been mined already, meaning there's only 20%. And so, you know, I'm not going to say we're going to get a supply shock in the next 2 days or 2 weeks or 2 years, but 2 decades, that's when things start to get a little interesting. Especially, so you think about the last 2 decades. Well, in the last 70 years, we've already pulled out 2/3. So we pulled out the majority since 1950. And so that's pretty cool right there. Then I remember hearing something. Hit the like button if you guys saw this as well. You maybe saw this with me. There was something on Shark Tank where Shark Tank had some crackpot inventor on there. And the crackpot inventor basically was saying, I can pull gold out of the ocean. And so I saw the 200K thing and I was like, well, if there's 200K pounds, you know, what is in the ocean? There's more in the ocean than they're saying is in the crust. And so they're saying in the ground, 200,000 tons, in the ocean, 20 million. So 100x. That is 100x. That is in the ocean. So here's a huge variable that nobody is talking about. Now, when is the technology going to hit where we can pull the gold out in an economically feasible way, meaning a good 20% less than spot price of gold? I don't know. I'm not that guy. I'm not an expert on material. I'm not a material expert. I'm not a filter expert. I'm not a hydration expert. I'm not some sort of distilling expert. But I do assume potentially within our lifetime, when you think of how much value is captured in the ocean. And plus, you had crackpots saying they could do it 15 years ago. And so 20 million tons, however, this means 1 gram for every 110 million tons of ocean water, and also some is going to be trapped below, and the top layers below 35,000 feet. So what is, I kept digging into this. What does that mean for you? What does that mean for the Disco fam? Every single person would get 9 pounds of gold. So that's how much is in the oceans. Now, I wanted to know, what is the current price? Let's go ahead and refresh this. 2330. So this is the current price of gold per ounce. Oh, no, I gotta do, sorry. So I've got to change the number pad. That's how I change it. So $2,330 per an ounce of gold. There's 16 ounces in every pound. So that's 2,000 times 16 ounces. That means a pound is 37,000. Remember, we get 9 pounds apiece. And so that means each person on Earth, there's an equivalent of $300,000 in the ocean. So that is a house. There's a house per person in the ocean when it comes to gold. Pretty cool stuff right there. So there's the price. All right, so the next question. Gold and Bitcoin, they're going to do the same thing, largely, I say, in times of this macro events. And so we got a big macro event. On the daily, things might fluctuate. There might be deviations. But if you zoom out on the monthly, on the yearly, gold and Bitcoin, I think, are going to kind of go like this. Now, you're going to have gold kind of go a little higher. But, you know, when that one goes up, the other's going to go up, largely speaking. So then I looked, what is going on with war? What can war do for gold? Now, gold fanatics, gold bugs can't get over the fact that gold is no longer money. People still revert to this idea as why countries hoard gold. We're going to talk about China and gold in a second. The governments know that their paper isn't trustworthy, and that when it fails, we'll be all back to the basics, toting pockets full of metal. I think there's going to be some element of that if everything were to collapse. But as long as there's not an EMP, as long as we still have internet, I think digital currencies would emerge. I don't think you're going to go to, let's just say things really hit the fan, right? You're not, McDonald's isn't even open at this point. So you go to a farmer's market equivalent, you're bartering with a neighbor, whatever this world looks like. Are you going to be pulling clipped metal from your pocket? I don't know. You know, if there's a world where we still have smartphones, you're just going to be tapping something. So you don't want that currency where, yeah, dollars, you got to get a wheelbarrow worth just to buy a loaf of bread. They're going to be transacting in digital gold. So this is half right, but the remonetization of precious metal not going to happen. If all money was to be backed by gold, it would be some incredible price per ounce. The dream is that one day in the future, the past financial world of gold-backed money will return. It won't. Well, let me give you a little asterisk here. It can, but it will be a new money. Our dollars in our pocket will never be backed by gold. Bitcoin doesn't need to be backed by gold. But if there were to be a new currency emerge, that's when you would say, oh, okay, you know, the new currency is backed by gold. Look, this is a little bit of a touchy subject, but look what the German franc did in the 1922 after it collapsed. Maybe it was 37. I might be getting those wrong. But yeah, a currency can be devalued to the point where it's worthless, and they'll reintroduce a new currency. El Salvador, that would be a current example. And so that does happen, folks. Precious metals have always been turned into paper money. Gold has ever been part of a chain of credit. So now the idea is right that gold is hoarded by governments because paper is not trustworthy. Gold is for war. If you want to pay foreigners, your paper money only gets you so far, especially if things aren't going well. Gold is the only currency that you can buy what you need. And so they got a threat report on what World War, I don't even know if I can say this with the YouTube algorithm, but if there is potential global scale conflict, it would send gold/Bitcoin to the moon. Well, I want to do my own math here, you know, so I went in the prices and I just pulled up 2 key events. The first key event you're looking at is, it's on the weekly here, so I couldn't do 9/11. That's right, 9/11/2001. So this is September 10th, 2001. Now for the next month, markets were in a free fall, folks. That was a very, very, oh, look at that. So there's the 10th. So the next candle, Hey, very good, but then just kind of flat. You can see gold just kind of flat, and then actually had a little bit of a tumble that was a little scary. I remember when stocks were falling. I remember when everything was falling. I was a senior in high school. I read the financial part of the newspaper then. Yeah, you got a nice little 84-day, 8% correction right there. But when you zoom out, look after 9/11. Now, of course, there's the war on terror kicked off from there. We unjustly invaded Iraq, I would say. And, we sent way too many resources to find a guy on a dialysis machine inside a cave in Afghanistan who actually was in Pakistan the entire time. But either way, the war on terror, some would say this parabolic price action was due to the war on terror. Now, if you look at the previous, what are we looking at here? Folks, this is 7,000, not 700 days, 7,938 days. Let's just say 8,000 divided by 365. So we have this very, very strong sideways action. So divided by 365, 21 years. That was 20 years. This is 20 years of bullcrap price action. Imagine buying gold right here. Imagine buying silver or gold right here. You feel like an idiot. You're looking at your home price go up. You're looking at Apple stock. You're looking at all these things just skyrocket and move to the right. Meanwhile, your gold asset is just doing nothing. But then war started. I don't know why I went full-blown Lord of the Rings. Then Mordor was attacked. So war started and gold went on a crazy, crazy run, everybody. Let's just measure this. We'll go into the top part of that. Nice little 550% pump, but that was over 3,640 days. So those over many, many years. So, hey, I can do math right there. That was pretty close to 10 years. So it went on a nice little 10-year bull run, and then it had a nice little consolidation zone. Well, let me warn you, folks. Now, I don't know how this is going to turn long-term. So in the immediate aftermath after 9/11, we got that little bit of a correction. You can see a little bit of a pump flat and then a little bit of a dump. And so then I pulled up Russia, Ukraine. Again, all these things are probably going to get us demonetized. Now, this was a much larger drawdown phase here. And you can see we catch that wick. Same thing, man. Same thing happened. The war kicks off. This is Russia going into Ukraine. A little bit of nice action, and then a little bit of a drawdown. Now, that drawdown was pretty short, even though we're looking at weekly charts here. This drawdown, what is going on? Give me the drawdown. There we go. All right. So we end up falling about 20% over 245 days. Then after that, gold has been on a pretty good run. So if you look at 9/11, it started 10-year. If this global conflict spreads, I'm not making any predictions on whether or not it will. I don't know if NATO's getting involved or China's going to start helping Russia. I don't know. I don't have any. I don't want to. My thoughts on that are irrelevant. I'm just a guy trying to tell you about cryptocurrency here. But if that does happen, I would expect something similar to this 10-year bull run that we got as conflict makes people uneasy here. All right. A lot of people liking Ondo here. W for, Putin. All right. Now, let's talk China. All right. So China has a rich and storied history with gold and Bitcoin, but we're mostly going to focus on Bitcoin here. Now, this is from Michael Arrington, and I don't know if, 300,000 followers, followed by Martin Shkreli, a few other people. I'm actually kind of curious now. Followed by Jake Claver, okay, World of Freight, Thread Guy, okay, so followed by Punk6529, really smart guy right there. Ada Whale, very, very smart guy. All right, so a lot of smart people are following this person here, and they have a hot take, or really I should say a hot source. There's a source here. I heard from a source that central banks are accumulating Bitcoin. Now, I've heard the same thing. I heard the same thing 3 years ago, that Russia was secretly accumulating Bitcoin. Because, why? Well, it is not in their interest to publicize it. For the same reason, China undercuts gold reserves. I did not know that. Wait a minute, you're going to tell me China lies about how much gold they hold? And then you think about it, what's the motivation to tell the truth? Why wouldn't you lie? Why wouldn't you buy 10 pounds and just say, what are you talking about? I bought 2 pounds. Okay, 3. You found me. All right, you got a picture of me at the bazaar. I bought 4 pounds, but that's it. Of course they are. Of course. And so the conversation below is speculative, but it wouldn't surprise me if this actually happens. So here we go. Here's the inside scoop. China is going to have an anti-crypto stance for 10 years. And on the 11th year, PBOC is going to come out and say, we own 15% of all Bitcoin in circulation. Are there any peeps of Chinese government accumulating? Any level? Yes, we've heard quite a few. Now, this is a rumor. We don't know, how accurate this is or what kind of level. Is this just some municipality water guy that's like doing it for some whatever random reason? Or is this, China militaries, secretly accumulating tons and tons for black op operations here? And so looking into the shadiness, I'm not trying to say this is shady. I would do the same thing. But what do you mean they vastly undercount? So I pulled on this thread, China lying about Bitcoin and gold accumulation. Would it be in their interest to lie about Bitcoin and gold accumulation? Well, some say this is a lie. Some say this is just, hiding certain info. And so not technically a falsehood. So they reported an increase in its gold reserve for the first time in 3 years. Shed some light on the identity of the mystery buyers in the bullion market. This is from Bloomberg. So they raised it by 32 tons in November from the month before. Brings their total around 2,000 tons, the sixth biggest central bank bullion hoard in the world. Does it make sense for the world's second largest economy, the soon-to-be number one economy, the second most populated country in the world, and some, I would say this, a very smart, long-term thinking economy here. They got long-term thinkers running it. It's like an engineer-based government system. Would they be sixth? Would they be sixth in gold accumulation? Or would they be number one, number two, potentially number three? I feel like sixth, maybe not entirely accurate. If I had a guess, I would say they're top five, baby. All right, so the gold industry, rife with speculation about the banks behind the 400 tons during this third quarter. Only about a quarter of the buying was publicly reported. And so for every 4 pounds of gold bought, they're only reporting one of these, probably central banks, these wealthy sovereign nation funds. Makes a lot of sense. And so now people are touting China and Russia as potential culprits. And so if they're secretly buying gold, would they secretly buy Bitcoin? Yes, they definitely would. They would definitely secretly buy Bitcoin. And so I do think there's a little something to the China's secret strategy of maybe accumulating a bunch of Bitcoin. Same for Russia, as we have a de-dollarization process happening with the world. And so, they announced a 57% jump in reserves mid-2015. That was the first update in 6 years. And so they have a history of keeping their cards close to the chest. And then people are like, hey, someone's secretly buying all this gold, some sovereign nation. And then 6 years later, they're like, yeah, it was me. And then they disappear again for 5 years. And then meanwhile, people are secretly buying more Bitcoin. And so I think the same thing is, in fact, I would almost guarantee the same thing is happening with Bitcoin. There's going to be all these whale wallets. And then 10 years later, China. It was me. All right. Now, on that note of China lying to us, I will go ahead and say it. They're lying to us about their gold hoard, and I pulled the thread on. They're lying to us about Bitcoin. Now it's obviously hard to find any kind of specific details on China. I mean, I don't think this one's going to get a lot of traction in the Wuhan province or anything, but there's a well-known in circles Chinese cyber threat gang. Ask yourself this. Do you think, what is more likely? There's a there's a hacker group in China. There's a cyber gang. There's a group in China. There's two ways this can go down. This is like some skateboarding, like chicken tendy eating, living in mom's basement hackers. Maybe they're adults now. They're overweight. They're playing World of Warcraft. They look like Cartman in that episode. So you got like just some regular people. You know what I mean? Oh, they got a VPN on their phone, but they won't get caught because that's like life in jail. Or it's a government-ran military operation. And so you got like all these like hackers that are like all free in China. They're probably like tagging stuff and they're like cutting down like red light photo. No. Or it's a military operation. To me, it has to be a military operation. If I were to guess, I would not be thinking China is allowing that to happen under their regime. And so there's these people have been hacking cloud-based environments, Linux servers, all this other stuff, but they're also hacking mining tactics. And so I think there's a unspoken protocol in China where they are trying to accumulate as much Bitcoin as possible. Then there's the whole F2 pull. Then there's like, ban from mining Bitcoin in China. But then, when you look, they're still mining Bitcoin in China. And so that is my take on China Bitcoin. I think, for 100%, if I guess all guesses, I think China. What do you think, chat? Is China secretly hoarding Bitcoin? Yes or no? Let me know what do you think. Am I just some crackpot? Should I wear tinfoil? Or does it seems likely that China is buying Bitcoin? All right, let's talk about what is better. At the end of the day, what is better? Is Bitcoin better than gold, or is gold better than Bitcoin? Well, it's a great time to be an owner. Since the start of 2023, it is up massively. It's up 300% here. Why? Mostly because of the ETFs, April halving. But gold also pretty much at all-time highs. Now, it is down a little bit, but emphasis on little bit. So it reached all-time high not that long ago. These are weekly charts here, and so we go to the daily, a couple weeks ago. So it looks really, really good there. But keep going now. How are they similar? Well, they're going to be similar. First, understand scarcity. They both have scarcity. In the Earth's crust, there's a certain amount of gold. We got about 80% of it. Ocean water. Meanwhile, Bitcoin hard cap 21 million. So Bitcoin wins. Price of assets have a fixed supply. In theory, should rise as demand also grows. Yeah, of course. Same utility. Gold used mostly in general jewelry, but some presence in industrial settings. Gold, of course, digital gold, Bitcoin, can be used as a decentralized network to pay people. And if you're fleeing a country that's war torn, you got to go across that checkpoint. You're going to want 12 words. You're not going to want to shove a gold bar up your prison pocket. Bitcoin's edge, both are scarce there compared to gold, physical commodity. Bitcoin is digital there. All right. Now, there's one more thing I want to share here. Oh, yeah. So, obviously, if you put $1,000 in 2019, Bitcoin is going to be a lot better there. Investors' store of value. So this is where it gets interesting. When you look at store of value, Bitcoin shines brighter than gold. And so while Bitcoin was up 700%, gold is only up 73%. And so they're going to likely to draw similarities in the future here. And so now I have a couple cool videos I wanted to share with you. These are just cool little graphics. First one's got NVIDIA as well as Bitcoin and gold. Now I might try to talk over this one so we don't get demonetized. So it's like there's a lot of hard workers, Americans out there, struggling, paycheck to paycheck. But I'm here to tell you, there's a better way. All you gotta do is buy some Bitcoin. Because the man is gonna have you working 40 hours a week, and 45 hours a week, then 50 hours a week, then 60 hours a week. All right, so Bitcoin just kind of crushing. Let me get that volume down a little bit there. NVIDIA, though, NVIDIA's about to have its moment. Gold, though, just looking like flat, looking lame, looking pathetic. I said it. Bitcoin's looking pathetic. Skin-colored tinfoil hat. That was a good one. You think those billionaires going to the Titanic is really them trying to get gold? I'm talking about the people against the Fed banks that died in the Titanic. If everything fails, gold is better. Yes. But if everything else fails, gold isn't secure. Good point. Ion. If everything fails, harass. Harass is where you want to be at. But, as long as we have internet, gold's going to be, second place with Bitcoin for sure. Yeah, there you got NVIDIA just kind of crushing it. Boy, he's like, I just really wanted to finish the song. I like how this quits moving. He's like, nah, man, that's my favorite part of the song right there. All right, we got one more. This one's super cool. This one's from Tom Crown. And so I don't know where Tom Crown, it looks like maybe got this from a TikTok chart here. But Borovic, you're cool, but we stand Tom Crown here. So we're going to go to Tom Crown's first thing. Should I put $100 a month into stocks, gold, Bitcoin? So this is a $100 DCA. I mean, honestly, anytime you got Bitcoin starting more than 10 years or so, it's going to be pretty close. Bitcoin's going to win, right? I feel like if you did Bitcoin since 3 years, though, maybe gold can beat it. What about China? Yeah, she went out with X-Pac, right? I was deep in WWE, WWF, that's what they called it then. Hard liquor. You know, I'm rewatching The Walking Dead, and it gives you a good insight in the economies of when F hits the fan. Seeds are going to be valuable. Seeds, brass. God. And you think about like when things hit the fan, you got everyone like doing target practice to like get better, wasting all that valuable brass in the early days. Look at Bitcoin. It's just on crack. I mean, gold, you got to do something. Gold, you're about to have all-time highs. Gold, do something, gold. All right, and we got a new Bitcoin. Hey, you didn't do the new Bitcoin high. Oh, man, this don't even got 2023? Tom. Okay, so they don't have, okay, so that's a 3-year gap. That's a 2-year gap. All right, maybe they got a little 2023 data right there, but all right. Yeah, that's just a good visualization. Now, chat, obviously, I think Bitcoin is better than gold. I think there's going to be advantages to both. But if I really wanted to FUD the hell out of gold, 9 pounds per person if you were able to extract all the gold out of the ocean. Still 20% yet to be mined. When you look at the Bitcoin numbers, though, and so 80% of Bitcoin, 80% of the gold is mined. But when you look at Bitcoin, it is a lot less than 20%. What percentage Bitcoin mined here? I don't know if they're going to give me a good answer. We're 19 out of 19.6, 7. I don't know. We're 19 point something out of 21 million. We're pretty close to, who owns 90% of Bitcoin? No one. We're pretty close to 20 out of the 21 million. And so let's just say it was 20 million. You multiplied 19 by 5. We got like 95% of the, I'm not sure the exact by 1 or 2 percentage points, but we got 20% of the gold yet to be mined, plus limitless amounts in the ocean. Meanwhile, we only got like 5% of Bitcoin yet to be mined, meaning 95% is all out there. I mean, its fully diluted value is close to its current value, whereas gold, not so much. You know, as more gold hits the market, it will accelerate. The amount of gold hitting the market will accelerate past Bitcoin because Bitcoin is shrinking, but as gold gets more expensive and maybe they figure out how to pull it out of the ocean, you know, we're going to see a huge disparity. And then when you start looking at the market caps here, so right now Bitcoin is less than 10% of gold's market cap value. I want to say it's about 16 to a 1.5. Wow. Okay. Yeah, no, we're down. No, it's only 1.3 trillion out of 15 trillion. So, you know, Bitcoin is roughly like 9% the value of gold. And I do think one day Bitcoin will pass gold. Okay. And that's about as bullish I can get, folks. You know, I've said this before. I'll say it again. Gold was our standard for currency for the previous 5,000 years. And I think for the next 5,000 years, Bitcoin will be the standard for currency. And you happen to be watching this stream right in the middle, in the zenith of this changeover from gold into Bitcoin is maybe the best time to be alive in humanity's entire existence. And so all I ask is hit that like button if that gets you excited, if that gets you pumped up, and you're ready to buy some Bitcoin right now. I'm going to go sell some gold and buy some Bitcoin. That's all I got, folks. Hit that like button on the way out.